we're going to understand, what are the various, change management strategies for retiring old systems and bringing in SIBO, right? So basically, as part of this plan, uh, as part of this plan, we have this multiple systems being already used within a company, and Siebel comes into picture to do a specific job. Okay, so that means whatever system was being used before Siebel has to be replaced by Siebel. Okay, so this is a huge a plan. This comes into purview of something known as change management. Okay, now we cannot confuse change management. There are two disciplines of change management. Both are named pretty similarly. One is software change management, which is a different discipline, which is related to within the SDLC. After design or requirements have been frozen or have been finalized and have been signed off, if some new requirement has to be squeezed in or some existing requirement has to be changed, then it has to go through the approval process, and there are so many things around it, and that's called as software change management or changes or design change request management or change request management or design change management or blah 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 blah. You should be able to figure out from the context what it could mean. Okay, second one is the change management that we are going to talk now in detail. It really gets its name from the fact that, as far as this is a great change for the company, for the users. They would have been using some other system before, and now they're going to start using SIBO. So it's a big change for them, right? Company would be investing approximately $20 to $30 million in something. They're looking forward to this change, and there is a reason behind this change. And the reason is, like, let's say they wanted to push new products into the markets. They wanted to make more sales. So all those changes is what the company is interested in, and that's why Siebel has to make sure that it fits into all those strategic moves. So company has a strategy. If we bring Siebel into this thing, our leads will grow by this thing, our visibility will grow by this thing, our reporting abilities will grow by this thing, so the revenues will grow. So all these things are aligned. Similarly, companies sometimes have initiatives they want to deploy, let's say, a Windows-based platform across all the computers in the globally. Siebel, all these projects like Siebel project has to make sure that it either comes before that project or after that project is over. Secondly, for example, I was working with one of these clients, and they were about to launch a new medicine drug. We call it drug. In this context, we usually call it drug, a new drug. And that drug was supposed to increase their revenue by at least 30%. So it's a big event in the company. So they also wanted to replace their old system with Siebel. So it's just a very common sense question. Do you think they should do it at the same time, or they should basically make sure that Siebel launch is either before, 3-4 months before that product launch, or it is after 3 or 4 months? I think it's obvious that it has to be before or after, but not at the same time, because sales team, they have to get attuned to the new tool, the Siebel, and so on and so forth. Or they should keep using the old tool, and then they should come across the new tool, so that they don't make any issues. They don't face issues in selling, right? So obviously, product launch is very important. It's the most important thing that brings the company the money, and product launch is a public event. Public event means it has visibility outside the company. So company might have made promises to investors that we will launch this product in September 2008, or they might have made these promises to they might have published articles. They have to do a lot of public stuff, and they cannot just afford to miss those dates. For example, BlackBerry has launched Bold, and for example, on 1st June, Apple wanted to launch iPhone. They launched on a particular date. Now they're going to be launching iPhone in September. Do you think they should use in September 2008? Right? They're going to be doing that. The date is, I think, pretty much finalized. I don't remember that, but it's finalized.
It's fine.
Huh?
At least month is final.
Oh, actually, date is also finalized, but actually I know the month. Now the thing is, do you think Apple should start using a new sales tool in September? No way. No way. Yeah, they should be selling stuff rather than learning the new tool. So we are talking about fitting this launch of Siebel within constantly moving stuff. A lot of stuff is moving. A lot of things are moving. A lot of events are occurring within an organization, and Siebel has to fit within that. Right? So Like for example, one of the big companies here, I know, this, it's one of the big entertainment companies, actually media companies called Yahoo, and they are having like these huge project launch called as Apex. It's a very big product. It's gonna be, it has customer face also. It is gonna be, it is very related to the how customers put their advertisements on Yahoo, and so there are so many other aspects of Apex. Siebel has to fit somewhere in between. Siebel launch has to fit somewhere between the Apex program. Apex program means in 2005 we will launch this. In 2005 December we'll launch this. In 2006 January we'll launch this. In March we'll launch this. October we'll launch this, so on and so forth. They have the plan for the next 2000 till 2011. We call these kind of things as roadmap. They have the roadmap for like 2000 for this Apex thing till 2011. Siebel has to find a spot in between. Siebel cannot just be launched without any consideration of this global company-wide global event, right? So this discipline is called as change management, and some of the change management consultants are extremely highly paid people, like $1,000 an hour kind. They get paid $1,000 an hour. So it's management consulting discipline at certain level, and it's like extremely it's a very extremely visible position. CEOs, CIOs would be knowing that person, that this guy is our change management guy. So anyway, so coming back to how change management hits us. I've talked about change management here. I'm going to talk about now something called as there is another but there is, like, I'm going to talk about a simpler version of change management which hits us the most. For us, there was an existing system which is going to be replaced by our system, right? But I'm going to try to depict this scenario by this. Like, there will be, let's say, a company, okay, and they would be using an old CRM system. That would also be a CRM system, maybe some pre-packaged software, or maybe a legacy application. That CRM system, let's say, was used for account management, contract management, asset management, whatever you want to call it. Then it must be talking to certain, other, of course, other systems. Whenever an order is sold, it must be going to order fulfillment system. It must be interacting for, telling about this thing to the order fulfillment system, about the orders to the order fulfillment system. Billing system. Sure, I mean, of course, it must have been talking to billing system also. It must have been talking to finance system also. It must have been talking to salary system also. It must have been talking to inventory system also. It must have been talking to many things. I mean, sales. Right. Sales is itself is sales system.
Okay.
Right. Marketing system also. And it might have been having some service request functionality, but it might be talking to some CTI, IVR also, right? It might have been talking to some some product maintenance systems also. I mean, if company has a lot of products, they can have typically an application might be talking to a lot of one very important system. It must have been talking to a data warehouse also. It must have been talking to a reporting tool also, right? So all these interfaces must have been there. There are many types of systems, right? If this old CRM system is going, then that new system, Siebel system, has to come its place. Okay, give me 1 second, right? ये सारे interfaces इनके all these systems have the interfaces among them also. I'm not interested in them, but that's why I would say, I mean, like it's a big ball game, you have to replace each and every system. You have to replace each and every system. Sorry, each and every interface. If you are replacing old CRM, you have to replace each and every interface. You know, okay? So you have to analyze. Replacing a system is a big deal. You cannot just say it. So that's why all these concepts exist. That's why all these variations exist, stub records and all those things, they come into picture only because of the fact that it is a complex thing to replace a system, to have this change. So change management discipline word can be applied at this level also, that we're going to go through a change. So even if you're not talking about global events, we can just talk about the system changes. Like we are replacing one system, we can say, oh, how to go about change management. make sure the users were using before, and then they can train, they are definitely trained on the new system as well. Finish story. So that's change management too. Not only always global thing is change. So this Siebel, new Siebel, has to replace this. Okay, I cannot do it in. You can clearly see that I'm not able to do it easily in visual diagram too. I don't want to do that. So how can you do it in the company? You know, just this is so easy. So my point is, now there are different strategies. This is what your question was, and I have treated it in now like a bigger picture. So let's say I'm going to make another picture. Give me 1 second. So your question was, this is old CRM system, and this is another system. Okay. Let's say another system, and we are planning to replace old CRM system with Siebel. Okay, that is the goal, right? Now your question was, what all can happen, and what are the different possibilities? Thousands of possibilities, sirs. Thousands of possibilities. Okay, we usually call it a phased approach of implementation, or a phased approach of phasing out the application. Remember this word, phased approach. Okay, so it is RUP. Okay, again we are again getting back into SDLC words, because you are replacing one system and putting a new system in place, right? So you're talking about developing a new system. So SDLC comes into picture right away. All the the verbiage will be overlapping, right? So Siebel should be like developed and put into its place. That would mean that, you know, there are different ways. One is, as part of the first phase, we can just move the data of Siebel to this new of that old system to Siebel. Okay, or what we can do is we can move all the data and remove one functionality out of CRM, or we can remove all the functionality. Okay, and then I'm coming back to the previous page. This is also possible that we maintain the interfaces. We mix every user start using Siebel. The data is sent back to this old CRM system. First data is moved to Siebel. All the data from old CRM is moved to Siebel. Everybody starts using new CRM, that is Siebel. The data is sent back to old CRM, and it is going to everyone. And whenever all these systems send data back to Siebel, so old CRM system, just one interface brings it back into Siebel. That is also possible, right? This change management of the systems, the system change management, is a huge discipline. Huge discipline means, so it's a huge discipline. It really means that, like, replacing a system is not just a 1 minute activity, or a 1 hour, or 1 month activity. It's actually not even 1 year activity. Sometimes it means like really a huge plan, like 2-3 years plan. For example, this one of the companies here has like at least 2 year plan to replace their old CRM system. In some of the companies I worked before, I've seen, you know, they had like 1 year, 2 year plan, yeah, to replace Siebel. Actually, in last company that I worked, you know, we basically replaced the old CRM system, but there are some crucial interfaces that we could not replicate. This was just not possible. From the feasibility standpoint, it was not possible to replicate those interfaces. Replicate those interfaces means, so we could not just we could not just create this thing. We could not create this thing. So what we did is we replaced all these interfaces and made those directly with Siebel. Replaced all the functionality of old CRM to Siebel. Brought all the data here, and then made one interface, just enough which we used to carry not all the data back. So it is called a synchronization. You should keep the data in sync, right? Otherwise interfaces will not work. These interfaces, right? So this data had to be sent to old CRM system every day. Not all the data, just that data which was exchanged with this system, and then whatever it would send back was supposed to be brought back into Siebel. Only that data, not the entire data again, just that data. We wrote that very intricate and very interesting thing is,
in this case,
you can clearly see just a small peripheral thing. You have to understand this interface in and out now. You have to remember, it's not just an interface, it carries data, mission critical data. These companies make a lot of money and they spend a lot of money on these systems because they take it seriously. this is not.
This